The fork clattered against the porcelain plate, echoing through the quiet dining room like a gunshot. Mark's heart pounded as he stared at his family, their faces frozen in mid-bite, the aroma of roasted chicken suddenly turning sour in the air. "I'm gay," he blurted out, the words hanging heavy, shattering the illusion of their perfect Sunday dinner in suburban Chicago. His mother, Evelyn, dropped her napkin, her eyes widening in disbelief. "What did you just say?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Mark swallowed hard, forcing himself to meet her gaze. "I've been seeing someone. His name is David. We've been together for a year now." The room erupted into chaos. His father, Robert, slammed his fist on the table, his face reddening. "This is nonsense. You're confused, son. We've raised you better than this." Mark's younger sister, Lisa, sat silently, her eyes darting between them, while his older brother, Tom, shook his head in disgust. As the initial shock subsided, the questions came like rapid fire. Evelyn pressed her hands to her temples. "How could you keep this from us? We're your family." Mark tried to explain, his voice steady despite the storm inside. "I was scared. I knew how you'd react. Dad, you've always talked about traditional values, the church." Robert cut him off. "The church? This goes against everything we believe in. God doesn't make mistakes, but this is a choice, and it's the wrong one." That night, Mark lay awake in his childhood bedroom, the walls closing in. David had warned him about this, but Mark had insisted on coming clean. "They deserve to know the real me," he'd said. Now doubt crept in. Was honesty worth this pain? The next morning, Evelyn pulled him aside in the kitchen. "I love you, Mark, but I can't accept this. Think about what you're doing to us." Her words stung, planting seeds of guilt that would grow into thorns. Mark returned to his apartment in the city, where David waited with open arms. "How did it go?" David asked, his concern evident. Mark collapsed onto the couch. "Worse than I imagined. They think it's a phase." David, a graphic designer with a calm demeanor, rubbed Mark's back. "Give them time. My coming out was rough too, but my parents came around." Mark nodded, but deep down he feared his family wouldn't. Weeks passed, and the silence from home was deafening. Mark threw himself into work at the advertising firm, but the tension followed him. One day Tom called. "We need to talk," he said curtly. They met at a coffee shop near Mark's office. Tom, a successful lawyer married with 2 kids, looked exhausted. "Mom's been crying nonstop. Dad's talking about disowning you." Mark's stomach twisted. "I didn't choose this, Tom. It's who I am." Tom leaned forward. "But you chose to tell them now when things are stable. Why rock the boat?" The conversation escalated. Tom accused Mark of selfishness, of putting his lifestyle above family harmony. "What about the kids? My sons look up to you. How do I explain this?" Mark fired back. "Explain that love is love. Or are you ashamed of me?" They parted on bitter terms, the rift widening. Meanwhile, David suggested they build something together to distract from the drama. "Let's start that greenhouse we've talked about," he said. Their small backyard in the Wrigleyville neighborhood was perfect for it. They spent weekends planning, ordering supplies, their hands dirty with soil as they laid the foundation. It became a symbol of their commitment, a sanctuary amid the turmoil. But neighbors noticed. Mrs. Harlan, the elderly widow next door, watched them with narrowed eyes. "2 men living like that," she muttered to others on the block. Whispers spread, fueling Mark's paranoia. Was this the life he wanted, constant scrutiny? One evening, Evelyn showed up unannounced. "I can't sleep knowing you're lost," she said, clutching her Bible. They talked for hours. Mark shared stories of his relationship with David, how it felt right. Evelyn listened, tears streaming. "I want to understand, but the church says." Mark interrupted gently. "The church isn't always right. People are." She left without resolution, but it was a start. As the greenhouse took shape, Mark felt a glimmer of hope. But then the plants wilted overnight. "What the hell?" David exclaimed, examining the yellowed leaves. They tested the soil poisoned with herbicide. Suspicion fell on Mrs. Harlan, known for her conservative views. Confronting her, she denied it vehemently. "I wouldn't touch your abomination," she spat. The incident reported to the police, but without proof, it went nowhere. Mark's anger boiled. This is what happens when people like her think we're less than human. David urged calm, but Mark's resolve hardened. He decided to fight back not just for them but for others. Tom called again, this time apologetic. "I overreacted, but Mom and Dad are struggling. Dad's health is declining, stress from this." Guilt surged through Mark. Was his truth harming his father? The moral dilemma tore at him. Suppress who he was or risk losing his family. Evelyn invited him to a family counseling session at the church. Reluctantly, Mark agreed, leaving David behind. The pastor preached about sin and redemption. "You can change," he said. Mark felt trapped, the pressure mounting. Walking out, he realized the cost of acceptance might be too high. Back home, David noticed Mark's distance. "What's wrong?" Mark confessed his doubts. "Maybe I should end this. For them." David's face fell. "For them? What about us?" The argument was their first real fight, words like daggers. Mark stormed out, wandering the streets, questioning everything. The city lights blurred as Mark walked aimlessly, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Ending things with David? The thought made his chest ache. But so did the image of his father's frail form, burdened by disappointment. He returned home late, finding David asleep on the couch, a half-empty glass of wine nearby. Guilt compounded. The next day they talked. "I didn't mean it," Mark said. "I'm just scared." David nodded, but a shadow lingered in his eyes. "We built this life together. Don't throw it away because of them." They recommitted to the greenhouse, replanting with fresh soil. But the sabotage had awakened something in Mark, a determination to confront societal prejudices head-on. He joined a local LGBTQ support group, sharing his story. Others nodded knowingly, recounting similar battles. "Family rejection is common," the facilitator said. "But you have to choose your happiness." Inspired, Mark reached out to Lisa, the only sibling who hadn't lashed out. "I need an ally," he told her over lunch. Lisa, a teacher in her mid-20s, sighed. "I support you, Mark, but it's hard seeing the family fall apart." She revealed Tom's secret. He'd been pressuring their parents to cut Mark off financially, fearing influence on his kids. Betrayal hit like a punch. "Tom? My own brother." Mark's trust shattered. Confronting Tom at his office, the scene was ugly. "You're trying to erase me," Mark accused. Tom defended himself. "I'm protecting my family. This isn't normal." The words echoed their father's, deepening the wound. They shouted, drawing stares from colleagues. Tom warned, "Keep pushing, and you'll lose us all." Mark's world narrowed to David and the greenhouse. They hosted a small gathering for friends, celebrating its completion. Laughter filled the air, plants thriving under grow lights. But Evelyn called during the party. "Your father's in the hospital. Heart palpitations. The doctor says stress." Mark's joy evaporated. Rushing to the hospital, he found Robert pale in the bed.
Robert whispered.
"This has to stop." Mark held back tears. "Dad, loving David isn't stopping. It's me." Evelyn intervened. "Please, for his sake, consider therapy. Conversion therapy." The suggestion horrified Mark. "That's torture, Mom."
No.
Leaving the hospital, Mark felt the weight of his choices. David met him at home. "How is he?" Mark broke down. "They want me to change. But I can't." David held him. "Then don't. We'll face this together." But the pressure didn't relent. Neighbors circulated a petition against immoral lifestyles on the block, spearheaded by Mrs. Harlan. "We don't want that here," it read. Mark and David discovered it slipped under their door. Outraged, Mark organized a counter-response, rallying allies to speak at a community meeting. The meeting was tense. Mrs. Harlan ranted about family values, quoting scripture. Mark stood up. Love isn't a threat. Bigotry is. Applause mixed with boos. David squeezed his hand, proud. But afterward, vandalism struck. The greenhouse windows smashed. Police investigated, but again, no proof. Mark suspected Tom, who had connections. Paranoia grew. Is my own brother capable? He confided in David. They argued about next steps. David wanted to move. This neighborhood is toxic. Mark refused. Running means they win. Lisa visited, bearing news. Tom's been talking to the pastor about intervening. Mark's anger flared. Intervening how? She hesitated. They might try to have you committed or something crazy. Though unlikely, the fear lingered. Mark dove deeper into activism, volunteering at a gay rights center. There, he met others whose families had disowned them. I lost everything, one man shared. But I gained myself. The stories fortified Mark, but also highlighted the potential loss. One night, Robert called. Come home. Alone. Mark went, finding his parents waiting with the pastor. It was an ambush. We're here to help you, the pastor said. They prayed over him, urging repentance. Mark felt violated. This isn't help. It's control. He left, slamming the door. David waited anxiously. What happened? Mark recounted, shaking. They're desperate. David suggested couples therapy for them. To strengthen us. They started sessions, unpacking the stress. The therapist noted, external pressures are testing your bond. As therapy progressed, Mark confronted his guilt. Am I selfish? The therapist shook her head. Authenticity isn't selfish. It's necessary. Bolstered, Mark wrote a letter to his family, explaining his journey, the pain of hiding. Tom responded harshly via email. Your journey is destroying ours. Stay away from my kids. The rejection cut deep. Lisa, however, replied supportively. I'm proud of you. The family splintered further. The greenhouse became their refuge, but even there, doubts crept in. David confessed. Sometimes I wonder if this is worth it. Mark's heart sank. Are you having second thoughts? David shook his head. No, but the toll. A breakthrough came when Evelyn showed up unexpectedly. I read your letter, she said. It hurt, but I see your pain too. They talked honestly. I don't understand, but I love you. It wasn't acceptance, but it was progress. Yet the high came crashing down. Mark discovered evidence. Texts on Lisa's phone showing Tom had paid a local teen to vandalize the greenhouse. Betrayal confirmed. How could you? Mark confronted Tom at a family gathering. The scene exploded. Accusations flew. Robert, still recovering, clutched his chest. Enough! But the damage was done. The family gathering turned into a battlefield. Voices overlapping in a cacophony of hurt and anger. Mark pointed at Tom. You orchestrated the vandalism. I have proof. Tom denied it at first, then crumbled under scrutiny. I thought it would scare you straight. Make you see sense. Evelyn gasped. Tom, how could you? Robert, from his armchair, looked defeated. This family is broken. Mark stormed out, David following. In the car, Mark vented. My brother betrayed me for what? His idea of morality? David drove silently, then said, We need to decide our path. This can't continue. Back home, they weighed options. Press charges against Tom or let it go for family peace. Mark chose mercy. He's my brother, but boundaries are needed. He sent a message. No contact until apologies came. The silence that followed was both relief and agony. Work suffered. Mark's boss noticed his distraction. Take time off if needed. He did, using it to fortify the greenhouse, stronger glass security cameras. Symbolically, it represented resilience. David's family, more accepting, offered support. His mother called. You're both welcome here anytime. It contrasted sharply with Mark's side, highlighting the inequality. At the support group, Mark shared the betrayal. Family isn't always blood, someone said. It resonated. He began mentoring younger members, finding purpose in pain. Evelyn reached out tentatively. Can we meet? Just us. They did at a neutral park. I'm sorry for the intervention, she said. I was scared. Mark opened up about his fears too. I thought you'd love me less. She hugged him. Never less. Just differently. It was a fragile bridge. But Robert remained distant. He needs time, Evelyn said. Mark understood, but the weight hurt. David proposed. Marry me. Let's make it official. On one knee in the greenhouse, ring in hand. Tears flowed. Yes, Mark said. Planning the wedding brought joy, but also dread. Inviting family? They decided to invite them with conditions. No drama. Tom declined rudely. Lisa accepted enthusiastically. Evelyn and Robert wavered. Pre-wedding jitters hit. Mark dreamed of rejection at the altar. David reassured. We're in this. The day arrived. A small ceremony in a botanical garden. Lisa walked Mark down the aisle. Evelyn attended, Robert absent. He couldn't, she whispered. Heartache mixed with happiness as vows were exchanged. Honeymoon in Hawaii was blissful, but reality awaited. Back home, a letter from Robert. I watched the video Lisa sent. You looked happy. Maybe I was wrong. Hope flickered. But society struck again. At work, Mark's promotion was denied. Whispers suggested bias, his openness about his marriage. Prove it, David urged. Mark filed a complaint, igniting an internal investigation. Tom, hearing of it, called. You're suing your company now? Always the victim. Mark hung up, but the words lingered. Was he fighting too hard? The investigation revealed discrimination. Mark won a settlement, but relationships soured. Colleagues see me as trouble, he told David. Personal toll mounted. David lost a client, citing values mismatch. This is retaliation, Mark said. They debated moving to a more progressive city. Lisa visited with news. Dad wants to talk. Mark met Robert at home. I'm trying to understand, Robert said weakly. The church says one thing, but seeing you suffer. Mark shared resources, books on LGBTQ acceptance in faith. Robert promised to read. Progress was slow. Evelyn joined a parents' support group. It's helping, she said. But Tom doubled down. He spread rumors in their social circle, painting Mark as the destroyer. Friends distanced. Mark felt isolated. In therapy, they unpacked. Betrayal changes you, the therapist said. Mark nodded. I trusted him. A turning point. David got a job offer in San Francisco. Better opportunities, more acceptance. Mark hesitated. Leaving means abandoning hope with my family. They argued fiercely. Staying is killing us, David said. We deserve peace. Mark saw the exhaustion in David's eyes, the price of his battles. Reluctantly, Mark agreed. They sold the house, greenhouse included. Packing was bittersweet. This was our start, David said. Saying goodbye to Lisa was hard. Visit often, she begged. Evelyn cried. Don't forget us. Robert shook Mark's hand. Safe travels, son. Tom didn't show. In San Francisco, they settled into a new home, building another greenhouse. Freedom breathed new life, but Mark missed Chicago's familiarity. Months later, Evelyn visited. Your father's reading those books. He's changing. Joy surged, but a call from Lisa shattered it. Tom's marriage is falling apart. He blames you. Says the family stress caused it. Guilt returned. Had Mark's choices rippled that far? David comforted. His issues are his own. Mark reflected on the journey, the shocks, betrayals, growth. Was it worth it? Settling into San Francisco brought a sense of liberation Mark hadn't anticipated. The fog-shrouded hills and vibrant community felt like a fresh start, far from the judgmental stares of Chicago suburbs. Their new greenhouse overlooked the bay, an upgraded version with hydroponics, symbolizing evolution. Work thrived. Mark landed a senior role at a progressive ad agency, where his identity was celebrated. David freelanced successfully, their finances stable. Socially, they made friends easily, attending pride events without fear. but family ties tugged. Phone calls with Evelyn grew warmer. "Your father asks about you," she'd say. Robert even joined one, gruff but genuine. "How's the weather?" Small talk but progress. Tom remained a ghost. Lisa updated. "He's bitter, going through divorce." Mark felt a pang. "Should I reach out?" David advised against. "He needs to come to you." One day, a package arrived. Books returned with notes. Robert wrote, "Eye-opening. I was wrong." Tears welled. Mark called. "Thanks, Dad." They talked for hours, bridging years of silence. Evelyn shared her journey. "The support group changed me. I see love differently now." Mark invited them to visit. They came awkward at first. Robert marveled at the greenhouse. "You built this." Pride in his voice. David cooked dinner, conversations flowing. "I'm sorry," Robert said finally, "for everything." Forgiveness came hard, but Mark offered it. "We're here now."
Thomas' absence loomed.
Lisa confided. "He's struggling. Lost his job too." Mark debated, then sent a message. "If you need to talk, I'm here." No reply. Society's shadows persisted. A national debate on gay rights flared, with protests. Mark joined marches, David by his side. "We're part of this," Mark said. Back home, an old neighbor emailed. Mrs. Harlan had moved, shunned after her petition failed. Vindication but hollow. Personal growth deepened. In therapy, Mark explored lingering guilt. Did I cause Tom's downfall? The therapist probed. Or did his actions? David proposed expanding their family adoption. "We're ready." Excitement built, but fears surfaced. "What if my past affects it?" The process began rigorous. Background checks revealed the family rift. "Explain," the agency asked. Mark did honestly. "We've reconciled mostly." Approval came, but slowly. They prepared a nursery, hope blooming. Then Tom called unexpectedly. "I need help." Voice broken. He'd hit rock bottom. Divorce finalized. Unemployed. "I was wrong. Jealous. Scared." Admissions poured out. "Seeing you happy made me question my life." Mark listened, conflicted. "You hurt us deeply." Tom apologized. "I know. Can you forgive?" They met in neutral territory, Chicago Airport. Tom looked haggard. "I sabotaged because I couldn't accept change." Mark shared his pain. "It almost broke me and David." Reconciliation tentative, but started. Tom sought therapy inspired by Mark. "Thanks for showing the way." Family reunited for holidays. Awkward but healing. Robert hugged David. "Welcome, son-in-law." But not all smooth. During dinner, old prejudices surfaced subtly. Mark addressed them calmly. "We're equals here." Adoption progressed. They welcomed a baby boy, Ethan. Joy overwhelming. Family visited. Evelyn cooing. Robert held him gently. Tom, rebuilding, sent gifts. Challenges arose. Ethan's health scare, minor, but terrifying. "What if?" Mark worried. David steadied. "We're strong." Community involvement grew. Mark spoke at events, sharing his story. "Coming out cost me, but gained more." Reflecting, Mark wrote a journal. The price of truth. Pain, but freedom. As Ethan grew, toddler steps echoing in their home, Mark often sat in the greenhouse, contemplating the path taken. The plants flourished, a metaphor for their life, nurtured through adversity. David and Mark celebrated anniversaries with quiet dinners, toasting resilience. "We made it," David said. Evelyn and Robert became regulars, spoiling Ethan. "Grandpa's here," Robert announced, toys in hand. Tom's journey was rocky. Dating a man, he faced his own rejections. "Now I get it," he told Mark. They bonded over shared experiences. Society shifted too. Laws changed, acceptance grew. But backlash persisted. A local hate incident reminded them vigilance was key. Mark volunteered more, mentoring youth. "Your story saved me," one said. David's art reflected their saga. Paintings of greenhouses amid storms. Family therapy helped seal healing. We've all paid prices, the counselor noted. Mark pondered. The initial dinner shock. Necessary catalyst or reckless? But seeing Ethan laugh with grandparents, he knew the outcome justified. Still doubts. Could compromise have worked? With Ethan now 3, life in San Francisco hummed with routine joys. Park visits, story times, greenhouse harvests shared with neighbors who embraced them. Mark's career soared. He led diversity initiatives, turning personal pain into professional purpose. David exhibited his art, pieces inspired by their struggles selling well. Family visits became cherished. Evelyn baked cookies with Ethan. Robert taught him baseball. "You're a natural," Robert beamed. Tom, now openly with his partner, joined the group complete. But echoes of past conflicts surfaced. During a visit, Robert slipped into old rhetoric. "The world today," Mark gently corrected. "Dad, we've moved past that." Robert nodded. "You're right. Old habits." Tom shared his regrets. "I almost lost you all." Mark forgave fully. "We grew from it." Community threats loomed. Anti-LGBTQ legislation proposed nationally. Mark lobbied. David designed protest art. "For Ethan's future," they said. At home, they discussed values. "Teach him kindness," David insisted. A crisis tested bonds. Robert's health declined. A stroke. Mark flew back, David and Ethan following. At the hospital, family united. "Fight, Dad," Mark urged. Recovery was slow. Mark stayed weeks, helping. Tom assisted, their brotherhood solid. During downtime, Mark reflected on the domino effect of his coming out. The shock at dinner ignited betrayals, vandalisms, moves, but also awakenings, acceptances, a child. Back in SF, life resumed. Ethan asked innocent questions. "Two daddies," Mark explained simply. "Love makes families." Years passed. Ethan started school, thriving. Mark wrote a memoir, anonymized, sharing the story to help others. At a book signing, a young man approached. "Your words gave me courage." Impact rippled. David and Mark renewed vows on their 10th anniversary. Family attending. Toasts celebrated perseverance. Tom married his partner, Mark best man. "Full circle," Tom said. Evelyn confided. "I was blind. Now I see." Robert, frail but content, whispered to Mark. "Proud of you." As the story closes, Mark sits in the greenhouse, Ethan playing nearby. The soil, once poisoned metaphorically and literally, now fertile. The journey begged a question. Was coming out abruptly the right choice? Or did the ensuing chaos prove subtlety might have preserved more while achieving the same end? With the passage of time, the scars faded but never vanished entirely. Mark often found himself mentoring at the local center, where young people grappled with similar dilemmas. "Weigh the costs," he'd advise, "but never hide your truth." David's career blossomed. A gallery show featured his series Roots and Rebirth, abstract representations of their greenhouse saga. Critics praised the emotional depth. Family dynamics matured. Holidays rotated between cities, traditions blending. Ethan adored his uncles, grandparents. One summer, they all vacationed together, a cabin in the Rockies. Laughter around the fire, stories shared. Robert recounted old tales, omitting prejudices. Tom opened up about his coming out. "Tougher than I imagined." Mark and David hiked alone. "Worth every tear?" David asked. Mark nodded. "Absolutely." Back home, challenges persisted. School bullies teased Ethan about his dads. Mark addressed it firmly with administrators, teaching Ethan resilience. "Be proud." Professionally, Mark advocated for policies, testifying in hearings. Personal stories change minds. Socially, friends multiplied. Dinners, barbecues, community strong. Reflecting in his journal, Mark wrote, "The initial shock was a catalyst. Betrayals forged strength. Without them, would we be here?" Ethan's curiosity grew. "Why did Uncle Tom hurt you?" Mark explained age-appropriately. "Fear. But love won." As Robert's health waned, final conversations deepened. I love you as you are, Robert said, passing peacefully his legacy, acceptance. At the funeral, unity prevailed. Tom eulogized. Dad learned late, but fully. Life continued. Ethan excelled. Mark and David aged gracefully. The greenhouse expanded, a community garden now symbolizing growth. In quiet moments, Mark pondered the moral quandary. Was the abrupt revelation justified, given the profound transformations, or did it unnecessarily amplify suffering that gradual disclosure might have mitigated?